Hello, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Movie Reviews. This is episode 22. And for the second episode in a row, this is a spoiler episode. Yes. This episode, I'm doing all spoilers for X-Men Age of Apocalypse. Before I get to spoilers, I want to say that I do love this movie. It's a really good movie to watch. And that's what I say about the non-spoiler stuff. But now to move on to spoiler stuff. Basically, one thing that I do praise for the movie, because as Bryan Singer directed the movie, they threw in the X-Men music that was seen in the previous three Bryan Singer films, which was the first two X-Men films and X-Men Days of Future Past. They had that in the opening credits. Like, as soon as I heard that music, I'm like, yeah, this is X-Men. So I was happy that they squeezed that in. I mean, the opening scene is it looks visually, it's very done really, really well. I mean, there's not much dialogue in the opening scene of the film. And you get a chance to see Oscar Isaac just lying on a slab, dressed in he's dressed to look like he's a slave, and he gets his chest cut, but it gets sealed up really quickly. Apparently, he has a healing factor. Okay, and this old Apocalypse is trying to survive, so he just transfers in. The process is successful, but the guy is trapped underground for the next 5,000 years until he wakes up in the 1980s. Now, before we get to 1980s, we have some other stuff. You have stuff like Magneto, who's back in his home country, Poland. Yes, Magneto is in fact Polish. He has always been Polish. As a matter of fact, why do you think that the opening scene of the original X-Men film has him in Auschwitz? Okay, he's also Jewish as well. Let's see, what else? Well, before they have it, they open up at the school, which is nice, and plus you get a chance to see Scott Summers, and here's something good about it. He's actually written to be much better than he was in the original Bryan Singer films. I can definitely see the actor's okay. He's a little bit better than James Marsden when he was Cyclops. So, give or take what you will. And he spends about half the movie wearing like, after he gets his powers, he wears a sort of a blindfold in a way to make sure he can keep his eyes closed until they come up with the ruby glasses that he is known for wearing. Which, okay, the glasses are actually really cool. So, they're actually a little bit better than they were in the original X-Men film. It's kind of like, they look like sunglasses, but with ruby tinted lenses. So, okay. Beast, once again, does a great job in this movie. Before I go any further, I should talk about Apocalypse, the interesting little fact about him. You see, Apocalypse was created by a woman, Louise Simonson. Louise Simonson is the wife of writer-artist Walt Simonson, who's most famous for his run on Thor back in the 1980s, which this film is also set there as well. But before I get to Apocalypse, Apocalypse himself, okay, they do a lot of close-ups on his face so they can at least show that he does have that like little line that he's supposed to have. At least they have that there, because a lot of pictures I have seen of him basically don't show any close-ups of his face. Now, I am very happy they put those lines there. He may not be exactly the way he is in the comics. As long as he has those lines on his face, you know, where they cover like his jawline like here. As long as he has that, I'm fine. Because that's a key thing that Apocalypse does have. Now, Apocalypse, he may not look the way he does in the comics, but the way he looks, I would say is not based upon the comics. His look actually, when I think of it, it's based upon his look from X-Men Evolution. Yeah, if you watch the show, his look is very similar to that from that show. Okay. Oscar Isaac he actually did a pretty good job playing Apocalypse. So, yeah. And the first mutant he runs into is Storm. Yeah, Storm. And she's got black hair, not white hair. Apparently, Apocalypse, when he unlocks more of her power, that also turns her hair from black to white. Okay, so it's an okay thing. I mean, Apocalypse is responsible for several characters' known traits. The Mohawk thing. Now, I do love the fact they kept it in there that Storm was a thief from Cairo, a pickpocket in a way. Now, Apocalypse. Now, this is a PG-13 movie, and yet Apocalypse they allowed in the movie. It's like they allowed to put in the movie. This happens a couple times in film, where Apocalypse basically just warps building materials and forces people to be absorbed inside of them, basically almost bury them alive inside the walls of a house, outside one of these houses in Cairo. It's weird, and they go out to find mutants, and the first one they find is Psylocke. Yep, they go and find Psylocke. Now, before I get to Psylocke, I should also mention the first time Mystique has actually seen this movie. She's in Berlin, and she comes across this sort of mutant MMA fight where Angel's like this cage champion, and he defeats supposedly the Blob. He's never referred to as the Blob in the credits. He's referred to as the defeated Blob. But technically, it's unknown if that really was the Blob. But it's a nice little continuity nod. That's why I'm there. It was nice they put in there Nightcrawler. It sounds like he's younger than the actor who portrayed him in X-Men 2. X-Men United. But the guy does a great job of what he's giving. And it does look like his makeup is actually painted like the actor who portrayed him in X-Men 2. Angel, okay, he looks great. I love the look of his wings, but the actor is not used very well in the movie. I would say the actor's best scene is when his feather wings get turned to the classic metal wings he's known for having in the comics. But this is one thing I thought was a little bit odd. That Apocalypse. Now, I get the fact Apocalypse has the ability to do this because in the comics he uses a machine to turn people into his horsemen. In the film, he just used that's one of his powers apparently because he's a mutant, so why not? So all he does is basically turn the feather wings into metal, and he has he turns almost like part of the back of his ribs into also part of his wings as well. Now, I was kind of expecting also that would also turn his skin blue, because traditionally whenever Warren has turning from Angel to Archangel, his skin is turned blue. But for some reason it's still peach. It's like normal skin color. I don't know. Maybe they forgot to put that in there. I have really no idea. I mean, in the case of some of these other characters, so Storm, the only change he made that show Storm is when he changed her hair color. That is the only change he did to her. For Psylocke, apparently he amplified her telepathic powers. Okay? And Angel just turned his wings metal. For Magneto, he crafted him, apparently he basically boosted Magneto's ability to use metal. Apparently, he also uses the ability to crush buildings. Okay. Havoc, who's not seen, he's seen a little bit more than he was in the previous movie. It's nice to see him. It's nice to see him at home and have him. He does a pretty good. He has okay chemistry with the actor who plays Cyclops, even though he's not seen very much on screen. But the guy does a great job. It was nice to see Morbid Tagger again. First time since X-Men First Class. I will get to what's going on with her. Now, she does not remember what happens in that film. She does not remember at all. Because Xavier wiped her memory at the end of the film. Which I will get to that in a few minutes. But, yeah, it was nice to see Moira again. Apparently, in between First Class and this film, apparently she got married, had a couple kids, and got divorced. Okay, fine. I don't have a problem with that. The problem is they don't give her proper makeup to look like she's aged 20 years. I mean, she still looks almost exactly the way she did back in First Class. The only criticism I have for Margaret Taggart is that she does look 20 years older. In the case of Michael Fassbender, well, him I allowed to get away with it because he actually does look older than he actually is depicted. I mean, if you look at, let's say, in the First Class, he's basically depicted at the time probably to be in his, I would say, maybe late 20s. Late 20s, probably early 30s. With the following film, he's in his 40s, and in this film, he's probably in his 50s. That's my personal guess, and he does look the part. He does look like he's probably in his 50s. Okay, I give Michael Fassbender that. McAvoy, in her hand, he still looks kind of, well, the only way he looks older is that he grows a beard. Yeah. But McAvoy does a great job in this movie. Yep. Oh, I'm looking forward to Assassin's Creed when it comes out. I'll talk about trailers soon. I don't remember Assassin's Creed's the other one. Let's see what else. Cyclops, I would. Yeah, well, that's like. Let's talk about Jean Grey. Wow. This actress does a really good job. But there's one thing that kind of puzzles me. When you watch this movie, is it just me, or is she just has... I mean, she's supposed to be a teenager. Okay. And she has the Phoenix Force. So apparently one of her powers, besides reading minds and moving stuff with her mind too, besides telekinesis and telepathy, apparently one of her abilities is to shoot fire out of herself. Okay, and she does this a couple times in the movie. She does this once, about a quarter way through the film, and second time was basically toward the end. But it almost seems like it was odd to see Xavier sit on her bed. Yeah, it was kind of weird. And Xavier's supposed to be probably at this point, I would say Xavier's supposed to be in his 40s, maybe 50s at most. It highly depends on exactly how you would depict him in a way. I would say, I don't think he was a teenager with First Class. I think he was probably a guy in his early 20s. I would say with this film, he's probably in his 40s. And Jean is probably in her late teens. That's my guess. But it seems kind of creepy for a guy who's in his 40s to sit on a teenage girl's bed. Now, in the comics, in issue 3, Stan Lee revealed that Xavier is attracted to Jean Grey, but he can't reveal that to her because he thinks that the chair is turned off. In the film, there's no hint of attraction between the two of them. I do like that. That's actually better writing on the part of Simon Kinberg. He's the writer for this film, so I do praise him for basically sort of giving the relationship sort of a teacher-student relationship, very friendship in a way, which is really good. Jubilee. Wow, it wasn't as bad as it wasn't as wasted as Angel, but she did. I mean, I heard that she has some deleted scenes, but man, she did almost jack squat in this movie. She never showed off any of her powers at all. I mean, she only got maybe 15 minutes of screen time. She got less screen time than the majority of the known characters in the film. Yet they put her in the movie and they do nothing with the character except, she just happens to meet up with Scott. She meets up with Nightcrawler, meets up with Sky and Jean. They go to the mall. They go see Return of the Jedi. It's so funny. They go see Return of the Jedi. Apparently, that was so funny, them going to see Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Because it's 1983, so not unexpected for them to go see, and they do reference Empire, and they think it's probably like the worst one, something like that. They make a lot of nods, but it's nice to see that they went to go see Return of the Jedi. Yep. Quicksilver. Wow. I am so happy they gave him more screen time in this movie, because in the previous film, I think he had more screen time in this film than he did in the last one. At least this one, he was actually involved in the plot, which I do praise Simon Kinberg for giving more to do in this film than he did in Days of Future Past. Um, but there was one character, aside from the obvious one I'm talking in a minute, the one character I was a little bit surprised seeing this film, especially seeing Mystique's reaction to seeing him. William Stryker Jr. Yes, the same character who appeared in the previous film. And also, in the X-Men universe, the guy responsible for giving Wolverine his adamantium in his skeleton. Sorry about that. That was my Skype. Anyways. He's in this movie, and he takes several hostages. He takes 4 people hostage. He takes Mystique, Beast, Quicksilver, which I'm thinking, how the heck does he know? I get the fact maybe he knows about Mystique and Beast. He does know about those two, but Quicksilver? How the heck does he know about Quicksilver? Did he see Quicksilver just speeding those people out? Yeah, the Xavier Institute gets blown up in this movie. Yeah, it does, though it gets rebuilt later on in the film. But it's destroyed by accident. Yeah, something Havoc apparently has. And Havoc, as part of the spoiler, Havoc apparently dies. And they don't even search for his body. It's never officially confirmed if Havoc died. He just didn't make it. They didn't bother to search the rubble, and he wasn't seen later in the movie. Maybe they didn't want to do much with the character Havoc because they want to focus on Cyclops. Cyclops may have been the reason why they decided to kill him off in the movie. I don't know. Maybe that's going to be deleted scenes. Quicksilver just pure fun in this movie, and I like the fact he kept his goggles. And I love it when the first time he does his little speed thing. It's in the previous movie, it was some 70s song. In this film, it was an 80s song. It was so nice. Oh, and apparently this film takes place in the summer of 1983. 83 definitely, but it's the summer. Okay, I get that. What else should I talk about? Let's see. So basically, by the end of this film, we got most of the founding members of the X-Men in the film, except for, I'd say, one. I mean, you have Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, and Angel show up in this movie. But there is a small problem. There is no Iceman. Maybe he's going to appear in the next movie. That's a possibility. I don't know. It depends upon what they want to do for the next film, which I've heard is going to take place in the 90s. But the big one, basically, this one's kind of expected because he's been in the majority of the films, with the exception of Deadpool. Wolverine shows up in this movie for about maybe 10 minutes. And if you ever look for that trade, Marvel Comics presents Weapon X, where Wolverine is his Weapon X guard, where he has a helmet on and those wires hooked up to him. Yeah, they actually hooked up Hugh Jackman to those freaking wires. I was so surprised to see this. I'm also glad that he put that visor on his face. That looks so funny every time I saw that. But it was so good to see him again. But before that, before the show Wolverine, it's like they're going to some place. Okay, so, and the place to go to is the Acolyte Lake Weapon X facility. Okay, I mean, as soon as I saw it, like, okay, what known facility in the X-Men universe basically is this? So it's a dam, and it's controlled by the military. It's a base. It's Acolyte Lake. Those of the X-Men 2 know that particular reference. It was nice to see it again. Despite the fact in this one they get a little more into the place, because in X2 they didn't show it that much. This one they actually showed a good chunk of the place. Heck, they even showed a place in the facility where Wolverine was kept, and apparently he's been kept here for the past 10 years. Okay, I can kind of believe that. And he's got his adamantium claws, which I do like the fact they gave him his adamantium claws. So you can kind of say that in this particular universe, it's the first time Wolverine uses his metal claws, not his bone claws. And not only does he have like the sideburns, apparently his hair grew out. Apparently grew his hair out. Okay, I get the fact. Now I do like the fact they kept him. that because of the fact he's been sort of, well, starved in a way. So this probably gave Hugh Jackman not the reason to bulk up for this movie, but he is thin. He's not fat, but he is thin, like very thin, almost like bone thin in a way. But he's still got a little bit of muscle on him, so at least he looks pretty healthy for a guy who's been kept in a facility and basically nearly starved there for nearly a decade. Okay. And Gene takes off the visor. He just gets away. But it was nice to see him again. And he pretty much kills all the soldiers except Stryker, which he pulls a Blofeld. Except Blofeld, if you ever saw Diamond and Saw Forever, he just says, makes a phone call, says, prepare my battle sub. Puts it down, walks to the building. And in this film, Stryker's like, excuse me a moment. And he just walks out and flies a helicopter out of the facility. Does not want to deal with Wolverine right now. Maybe that's going to lead into the Wolverine film. I don't know, but it was just so funny. It's like, as soon as he saw Wolverine lose, he's like, I gotta get out of here. Because I don't want him to kill me. Yeah, but I do enjoy the fact that they brought him back, and seeing Mystique's expression, now that's believable because she's shocked to see this guy because she hasn't even a decade. But I haven't talked much about Magneto. Magneto, when he first seen the film, he's working in a ironworks factory. Okay. And apparently he has a family. And because Apocalypse waking up, he uses power that says somebody tries to leave, and then the police try to take him, and he used non-metallic weapons. Okay. And they inadvertently kill his wife and child. Now, this does remind me of one of his flashback stories he's known for having. There was a flashback story from the pages of X-Men Classic where Magneto did have a daughter and she died very young. Now, Magneto does have a son. He does have another child in this movie, Quicksilver, which it's kind of hinted that he might know by the end of this movie, but it's nice the fact, you know how in the trailer people already knew, probably already saw that Quicksilver told Mystique that Magneto was his father, and yeah, that's pulled directly from that little scene. There's a fourth person, I'm trying to remember who it was. And the people who break them out are Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler. Joan Bailey is knocked out cold, and after the students are knocked out, she's not seen again in the movie until the movie is practically almost over. Let's see, what else? If you're wondering, now, I already knew that McAvoy was going to go bald in this movie, but I wasn't expecting when the movie started. But at least they gave an explanation of exactly why. They actually showed him going bald. Apparently, the reason why he's bald in the movies, apparently now the reason in his universe is because Apocalypse tried to turn him to another Apocalypse. That's mainly the reason why. And, yep, and apparently the reason why he kidnapped him is because apparently Xavier had Cerebro, and somehow, apparently, Apocalypse is telepathic. I'm like, when the heck did they establish this? This comes completely out of nowhere. This basically comes when Charles is talking to Magneto, who doesn't have his helmet for most of the movie. He doesn't get toward the very end. And then basically in order to prevent stuff getting worse, and he uses Cerebro to sort of launch all the nukes to space. Okay. And then he tells Havoc, destroy Cerebro, which I think does get rebuilt by the end of the movie. Just go crazy. They're trying to pull all the wires out, trying to shut this thing down. Because, and Xavier brings more to the Institute. Okay. But when Quicksilver shows up, he just, before the school blows up, he just goes in, and the school's blows up very slowly. He goes in quickly, just swipes all the students in hilarious fashion. Heck, he even had some students thrown out the window, but she had curtains tied to trees to catch them, which, genius. Which I do give him credit basically for saving all those students. And I get the fact that maybe the reason why he was put in the X-Men, because Xavier, that's probably a reward for saving all the students. Okay, so school blows up, he saves all the students. You're on the X-Men. And the fact is because he also participated in the final battle of the movie, which was awesome. And he's the one who throws the first punch at Apocalypse in the final battle of the movie. I'm like, really? He's the first person to fight Apocalypse one-on-one. And then you have all the other X-Men basically take on, like, you have Nightcrawler taking on Angel again. You have Beast taking on Psylocke. You have Cyclops taking on Storm, who does become a member of the X-Men at the end of the movie, which, nice touch. The one character I did not like their interpretation of this character was Caliban. Now, I do like the fact they kept his power, which he has the power to detect mutants. Okay, fine. What I didn't like about him was the fact he was a greedy bastard. I'm like, really? This is the one character that should have been in the movies much sooner. And they finally bring him in. The guy does a great job portraying the character. But to have him portrayed as sort of like a guy who just is very greedy, he's very money, he wants money. That is not Caliban at all. I would say the first attempt was very bad. Basically, now the guy does a good job, but that one aspect really bothers me about Caliban. I love the fact that Psylocke actually wears the costume from the comics. The costume department did a great job recreating the actual suit. Though in the comics she didn't show off cleavage, but I don't have a problem with that. Because Olivia Mann is a gorgeous woman, so why not show off some more skin? Okay? But she's only dressed by Psylocke in the movie. I do have a theory for that. Because I think Marvel owns the rights to her brother, Brian Braddock, aka Captain Britain. I think that's the reason why that they only dress her simply by Psylocke, not by her real name, which is Betsy Braddock. For some reason, Storm is never dressed by her real name. As a matter of fact, they never address her by name in the whole movie. I think maybe once she calls herself that, then nobody calls her by name the whole movie, which is weird. But, and here's the thing. Out of the Four Horsemen, now apparently Angel is apparently killed, and he survives being taken down. And apparently, it's hinted at that Psylocke and Angel had a relationship. Okay, fine. Don't have a problem with that. That happened in the comics as well. What else? Oh yeah, and it looks like that when that vehicle they used to get to Egypt is taken down. It looks like Angel's still alive, and all Apocalypse can say is, "What a waste." It's like he doesn't care about his own horsemen. After that, Angel's never seen again. Psylocke gets away at the end of the battle, and Storm stays with the X-Men. And Magneto was the first one to turn on him after Mystique did some convincing to him, and Quicksilver is trying to tell him that trying to tell Magneto that he's his son, but he just can't do it. But I think kind of Magneto kind of like, yeah, okay, I think I get it now. So I think it's kind of hinted that he does know that Quicksilver is his son, but he doesn't say anything. But I do like Magneto's turn in the movie where he turns against Apocalypse, and he puts all the metal around him. And I love that scene because Xavier's still connected to Apocalypse, he decides to take the fight to the astral plane. And he takes to the verse of the Xavier, and the first thing he does, like when it plays his forming, he beats the crap out of Apocalypse. Until Apocalypse sort of gets the upper hand, goes giant-sized, and tries to beat the crap out of Xavier until he opens up a door, which in the real life thing, it's the door to Cerebro, and out comes Jean. And she eviscerates Apocalypse, and they're destroying all of his armor, and basically the X-Men kill Apocalypse. Now this I don't have a problem because they probably had no choice in the matter in killing Apocalypse. They had no choice because they couldn't obviously just capture him, put him on trial. The guy is way too powerful. So he gets eviscerated in this movie. So the final battle, great battle. I was looking forward to this battle the whole movie, and it was awesome. So, of the Four Horsemen, Storm joins the X-Men. Psylocke gets away. Magneto kind of go with the X-Men, but he doesn't join them. As for Angel, nobody even brings him up. They just leave him there to die. Now, I do have might have been the deleted scene there of how they got back because their transport got destroyed. Maybe the Egyptian authorities probably comes in, probably says, "Oh, you killed the guy who built this giant pyramid. Okay, so we'll give you some transportation, and you can take this guy with you." And they probably took him. He's probably in a med bay someplace. So that's not gonna happen because he didn't officially die. I mean, he looked like when he was last seen in the movie, he looked like he was still alive. So maybe he's gonna get back for a sequel. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna do a better job with the character. But I love the lineup in the movie for the X-Men. You have basically Mystique is training the X-Men, apparently because she was a hero from the previous movie. Oh yeah, and Magneto was wanted, but yeah. So the line for the X-Men is this. Xavier is wearing the suit that Patrick Stewart was wearing in the first X-Men movie. Okay, that's really cool. And so the line for the field team X-Men is Mystique, Beast, Nightcrawler, Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Quicksilver. And apparently, this is also the first time I have ever seen this in the movie. A proper use of the Danger Room. Better use than they did in X3. And what do they fight? The Mark I Sentinels from the previous movie. I'm like, weren't those things destroyed in the previous movie? My guess they must have built them, took out all the mutant honey. They could also be holograms. I don't know. It just highly depends on exactly what they're going to do. And the movie ends right there. Well, not exactly. But the post-credits scene is some guy, and it's basically clean up in the Weapon X facility. And there's this guy in a suit walking through, and he goes to the place where Wolverine was kept. He pulls open the door, takes out a vial that says Weapon X on it, puts it in his suitcase, and then the thing ends right there. My guess is that's probably set for the third Wolverine movie, and we might get because my friend Edgar basically kind of is predicting this, that X-23 will be in the third Wolverine movie. So all in all, what's my final thoughts of this? Because I'm talking for like a half hour. So this is a really good movie. I think that Apocalypse did an okay job, but it's not crap. But it's a pretty Oscar Isaac does put on a very good performance as Apocalypse. His death the death scene was great. I loved it. The CGI wasn't overused in this movie. And Bryan Singer, great job. For your fourth X movie, you did a great job. And I'm looking forward to your next one. Though I know he's doing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea next, but he is doing an X movie. As it was set in the 90s. And I'll probably do sort of a predictions in a way, or sort of an explanation video of what would I expect being the next X movie, and what kind of subtitle I think it would be. I'll do that soon. But despite that, that's it. Well, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for whenever I get a chance on my next episode. Hopefully I'm back doing DVDs because, well, why not? But until then, see you there. Bye. Episode 23 is next.